They say that in life, there are only two things that are for certain. I think there's only one.
I still see you in my sleep. How come I still see you when I dream? I've been running from the truth, but it don't matter what I do. Never matters what I do. Can't get away from you.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is going on, beautiful ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, JLW, and I want to thank you all so much for joining me for episode 57 of Stand on Business. Two things is what they tell us from an early age: death and taxes. Well, I'm here to disagree. I'm here to disagree because taxes are something you can run away from. There might be consequences for not paying taxes. You might not like the life you end up experiencing if you don't pay taxes, but you do have a choice in paying taxes. Death is inevitable. There is nowhere you can run. There's nobody you can beg. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. It is the greatest equalizer we have ever experienced. It is the reason that so many individuals probably are obsessed with merging technology and consciousness, because it seems to be the only golden path, if you're not spiritual, towards eternity. Why do I bring up the inevitableness of death? Because I finally went and watched the movie that so many individuals were saying I had to see as a horror fan.
How did you cope with Kathy being gone?
I didn't. This is their new sister and brother, Oliver. Oliver lost his family just like you guys. Needed someone that could give him special care.
I want to say this: spoilers will be kept for the end of the video, so everything up front will be clean. However, there will be a moment where I say, if you don't want to know what happens, or you don't want to talk about the nitty-gritty of the film, you should walk away. Heed that warning. And I do believe, if there's even a little bit of you that wants to see this film, don't watch this video first. I had to look up several videos to even get this name correct. And I'm still thinking I'm probably going to say it, mispronounce it, but Philippou brothers, or at least I think they're brothers. It might be because I don't know what their relationship is, but they're the same duo that brought us Talk to Me, the movie that literally swept the nation, that made individuals remember that, yo, it's fun to go to movie theaters and be absolutely terrified. The same duo that was rumored at one point to do the Street Fighter remake before they decided that they had originality to share with the world. And in that originality, damn IP and everything else that's been established, let us spread what I think the mass majority of people have been asking for: new, inventive IP. Everybody's going, you have to see this film. This film is absolutely terrifying. This might be a better movie than the first one. Again, Talk to Me was a massive hit from YouTube creators, individuals who are looked at as less than in the artistic world when it comes to Hollywood. I think the only ones that I know of who have made it successfully outside of who's old boy that had the Lights Out short, who's massive now. Is it Flanagan? No, not Flanagan. Help me out, y'all. What is it? Did Lights Out. What is his name? Sandberg. Is it David Sandberg? David F. Sandberg. That is the guy that we're thinking of. Only other individual I can think of from YouTube who has come forward and made like massive hits on the big screen that is universally loved by both critics and audiences. These brothers did it once in a way that, like I said, everybody, even people who weren't a fan of horror, wanted to go check out this movie and be a part of this cultural, this huge movement and moment. To now people are saying this next movie, it tops Talk to Me. How is it that freshmen, I guess now sophomore duo filmmakers, are in contention of one of the greatest horror movies to be released? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the marketing has been pushing forward. Now, I will say this. This is the first thing I'm going to say about this up front. I am going to tell you truthfully, after watching this film, This is a film that falls underneath the horror umbrella, but more so than horror in the scare sector, it is horror in the drama sector. This film is, to me, less scarier than Talk to Me. But this is a lot more of an emotional, traumatic, make you feel some type of unease and sadness, bleakness in watching this story, rather than making you ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. This one took me by surprise because like I said, I went in with this expectation that I was going to be terrified by the end of this movie, that I was going to want to leave midway through. In fact, I thought I was going to want to leave midway through because there were reviews coming out and people were saying I could not finish this movie. I had to take a break. I had to step out. There are scenes that can be tough to watch if you're not a general fan of horror. If you've never watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Hostel or really anything that does with body mutilation, even going back to like House of Wax, then this might be a lot for you. But if you've seen any of those movies, there's nothing more intense than that, except for one scene in particular where, more so than the sight of it, the sound of it can catch you off guard. I want to say that this film, like I said, is more of a drama. It is a really, really, really well done drama. And the first thing you've got to really applaud this duo for doing is somehow being able to find these incredible actors who are generally unknown, at least to the mainstream audience, and then being so damn good at being real, at feeling like real people that you meet. Like, you look at the individuals and Talk to Me, the ones that were involved in the party, all of those felt like guys and girls that you've either known from your childhood or from adulthood, or that you would hang around, who have personalities that just literally feel like you're peering into somebody's life and not watching a film on screen. He did the same thing here with this cast, where the young man that plays Andy, which is the older brother in the film, feels like a young man who is facing a lot of responsibility, but more so than anything, loves his little sister and wants to do right and protect her during this very troubling time. No longer do you watch child actors, and generally, I'm more surprised when I find a good one than I am when I see a bad one. You know, I'm expecting a terrible child performance. The kids in this film, the one that plays the young sister and the one that plays, well, the individual that you see on this poster here, are both so incredibly talented in the roles and the performances, and making you believe what it is that they are going through and experiencing. And I mean, look, for a horror film, more so than not, you have to make me believe to make me afraid, to make me feel anything. The moment I step out of belief and I start laughing at things, or the stupidity or the absurdity, that fear is gone. Now this is a comedy, and it can go one of two ways. It can be a comedy that I enjoy and I tell other people, like, you gotta go see this dumb movie like a Hatchet. Or you've taken me out of the film and this movie sucks. You were trying to be real, you slipped up, you made dumb, illogical choices, you forced a beat in there that didn't work, and now I'm just sitting through this movie and hating life. Like Long Legs for me, personally. Well, that was a combination of things, but Long Legs is up there as one of those movies where y'all loved it, I couldn't stand it. This one does a great job in casting and putting people who never break you from belief, who make you believe that you're in a world where two young children are forced into a situation completely out of their control and have to deal with the consequences of negligence on the state side of things and the adults in general that are kind of surrounding them. Because there's a lot of things here that shouldn't have occurred, that occurred because people just weren't doing their damn jobs. But now they're stuck in this situation where it continuously builds to a place of feeling like you, the audience member, can touch the hopelessness, the helplessness that in particular the older brother is facing in trying to protect his sister from a woman who is dealing with severe loss. And that is why I was bringing up death. Because at the crux of this is a mother who, let's approach it like this. Everybody in their lifetime will face death in some form or fashion, whether it's yourself or somebody around you. Now, I think for the most part, death is hardest on those who remain behind. I'm not talking about the transition. Who knows how painful or how much suffering is involved in those who have to go through the process of transitioning. But what we can assume is that at some point it does stop and you move on to the next thing, whatever that may be for you, whether it's darkness or a heaven or a hell or reincarnation. At some point, that suffering and pain transitions into something new. But for those who remain behind, they now have to deal and cope with a life that will never have you back in it. That pain is something that nobody's got the right answers on how you deal with. And it is sometimes difficult to find joy in pretending like things are normal still, that you still get the same satisfaction in hanging out with your friends like you used to, that you still enjoy food or music or art like you did before. Like you still have a desire to still be the human being that once existed before the person that you loved was lost. Now, for a good majority of humans, because we are such an adaptable animal, time, family, friends, and the steady march and passage of life will get you to a point where you may not be what you were before you lost that loved one, but you can function and accept your new reality. Most people, some people, refuse to accept the help of friends or family or acknowledge the passage of time and thus cannot move forward in a new life that no longer has the individual they loved in it. And that can be a dangerous thing. And that is what this movie plays with. What happens when somebody gets stuck in a vicious mindset of not only can I not accept that the person I love deeply is gone, but I refuse to believe that there's no way for me to get them back. And the dangerous extent, the darkest corners you will dive into to find the answer to make that happen. And that is really, 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 really fascinating to play with, because in presenting us an individual who is facing that very situation and Bring Her Back, and I'm at this point talking about the mother. We're not going into spoilers yet. This is still the general synopsis, right? You have the title Bring Her Back and you have the synopsis. Two kids go to stay with the foster mother. In this, you're presented with an individual who refuses to move forward, who is obsessed with bringing back their child that was taken from them in what could have been a preventable accident or could have been, it's hard because I don't want to spoil anything, could have been looked at as something that I could have intervened in had I been maybe paying attention more or I've been in the area or done something. And now you're stuck in the guilt loop of blaming yourself. And so I'm going to do whatever it takes to make right what shouldn't have occurred. And also, I'm not soulless, but in my pursuit of doing this, I have now rationalized in my head that anything is acceptable to get back to that point. And man, when you're presented with an arc like that, because I don't even want to call the person a villain, right? Because it's not presented like a hero and a good guy. It is more presented like, here's an emotional journey. Let me show you how this person gets to this point and what the repercussions of that person getting to this point looks like. So when you get an individual like that, yes, you feel some type of negative energy towards them. You dislike them. You despise them. Who could do this to children? Who could ever make decisions like this that puts so many people in such positions of suffering? I do not like you as a character, and I hope bad things happen to you. However, by the time you get, I think, to the conclusion of this arc, you go, although I may not agree with what you did, and I still think you are a terrible person, I can understand how you got there. Especially if you've experienced death of somebody really, really close to you or somebody that you really, really love. You can put yourself into the shoes and go, I can see the steps that would lead to that door. I managed to take the other path, the path that, like I said, involves accepting friends' help, accepting family help, accepting that life is going to move forward. I took that path, but I could see, have I chosen this other path, I could be in a similar position as this person. Right or wrong, that's not the point. I'm presenting you a story and then you can decipher. And that's what you deal with Bring Her Back. And that's why I said that it's not a horror film, because in doing this, sure, there are horrifying moments in it, but it's more so out of the desperation and the suffering and the things that are invoked rather than cue loud violin sting, or here comes piano drop and scary monster mask. No, it's nothing like that. And so when I say that you will enjoy this movie if you're a horror fan, I say that from the position of if you enjoy a good story wrapped in the genre film. The Fault in Our Stars, right? Like, it is so much closer to that in the storytelling aspect because you are dealing with human emotion, real characters, making decisions that reflect in our own life. And you're going on that journey with him rather than, yes, there are elements of the supernatural which make it a horror film, but you take that away and you just go with, let me experience what his mother's experiencing. And oh my God, it is a hell of a bleak, depressive, but powerful film.
To spotlight Sally to begin with, because I went into this movie being a very big believer that she could do absolutely anything. But then I watched her movie, I'm like, oh my, never could have imagined you'd go there. Can you tell me something you saw her do on your set that made even you guys go like, my God, I knew you would crush this horror role, but I never realized you'd be able to go there with it?
I think there's a scene when she's in the hallway grabbing someone's arm and is in this really frenzied panic mode. And she was terrifying to approach on set because she was so in it, like crying between the takes and like moving around. And I was like, do you want to give the note or why should I? And she just fully lived and breathed the character. She was, I love her so much.
Yeah, that's one of those scenes you're watching on the monitor, like, oh my God, yeah, someone help.
The Philippou brothers, right? You look at some of the interviews and they talk about how there were things like where she had to get thrown around and be very physical in this role. And they were like, hey, don't worry, we're going to get like a stunt person in here or we're going to put padding down. And her response to those moments was, I don't know, would Laura do that? And she's talking about her character. She's saying in this moment of whatever's happening to Laura, right? You know, in this moment of desperation or this moment of rage, I'm getting tossed around I'm getting thrown into tables or against walls, or falling hard on the floor. Would Laura have padding on the floor? I don't think so. Would Laura have somebody step in and take this beating for her? Nah, I don't think so. So I'm going to do it. So again, that commitment to authentically portraying a character. Then you got Jonah Rhyne Phillips, who plays the young boy Oliver. We're not going to get into him just yet because I feel like that's for the spoiler side of things, which we are getting closer to. Billy Barratt, who plays Andy, which, man, like, again, as an individual who is playing a protective brother, man, you can't help but sympathize with this kid. He does such a good job of portraying somebody who absolutely loves his sister, but not in a again, an over-the-top way, not in a way that seems silly, just in a way of like, you know, I've been entrusted to take care of this person, especially now that we're in this situation where it's just us, and I'm going to look out for her, you know, regardless of what that means for me in my very young life, because he's only 17 years old, and regardless of how other people may feel about me based on some choices that I've had to make in the past or things that I've done, I'm here for her. And when I see, like, for example, there's moments where, is this a spoiler? And it's not really a spoiler, right? There's a moment in the movie where they're dealing with the grief of having lost their father. Again, not a spoiler because in the synopsis it said placed in foster care, which means something's happened to my parents, right? They've lost their parents and they're coming to grips with that. And Laura, the mother, their new foster mother, asked them, what is it that you do to have fun? How do we celebrate this moment? Because death is more about celebration than it is sadness, is what she pretends to believe. And they say, well, I forget what Piper says, but Andy says, drink. I get hammered. And Laura says, F it, then let's get hammered. And so they literally turn into a full-blown party, just the three of them, and they're drinking and they're dancing and they're having a good time. And it's actually kind of a sweet scene, except there's some ickiness undertones to it just because of what eventually ends up happening and what you see leading up to that moment. But she gives the drink to Andy first, or Andy gives her a drink first, and then it transitions to her giving a drink to Piper, the younger sister, who is probably, 12 or 13 here at this age. And you can see that look of concern in Andy, even at this point where he's probably had a couple of drinks in him, that immediate big brotherness kicks in, and he's like, whoa, wait a minute, why are we giving my 12-year-old sister a drink? And he goes along with the first one, and it's like one of those things where it's like, I know you're not going to like it, you know, like, so I can have fun in this because it's going to be a thing you do, you're going to hate it, we're going to have a laugh about it. But then Laura comes back and is like, okay, second drink. And then Andy's like, now it really kicks in. Now the seriousness is on. Like, I'm already in a weird situation where I'm not I'm not in the best position to stand up like I really want to stand up for my sister, because if I do the wrong thing, I'm going to be separated from her. So I have to kind of toe the line here with what I say and how I act. However, that is still my younger sister, and now you, a grown adult, are giving her another shot of liquor. I don't know if this is the best idea. And so he does a really good job of just portraying that protective individual, right? But like in a way that seems very real. We've also got Sora Wong, who plays Piper, which is the younger sister. This is an interesting also cast. I don't know if she really suffers from this condition, but there's something, she's partially blind, I think is what they say. So she can see kind of like shapes and outlines and lights, but as far as like discerning an actual person, faces, things like that, she can't see it. And so like it also does something where you can like physically see the blindness, where I think one eye kind of moves on its own and then the other eye kind of stays staring forward. Now, I don't know if she actually suffers from this condition, but what it does is immediately put the audience in a similar place to Andy, in that you feel a protectiveness over her, because the way we're introduced to her, again, no spoilers, but the way we're introduced to her is that she's at school and she's longing for friends. You can tell she's by herself waiting for the bus or something like that. I think she might be waiting for her brother, and there are a group of girls who are talking about what their plans are. They're going to go into the town, have a good time, and she's listening to it, and she takes that leap of faith that I'm just going to try and make friends. So she turns to the girls, and the girls they're 12-year-old girls, and they don't say anything or do anything to me, but you can just tell that they don't want anything to do with this girl who is different than them, just because she's partially blind and she's got an eye that moves. And it's like there was a moment of like audibleness where you're just like, oh, because the brother comes and, you know, she's trying to separate herself and be normal, like, oh, I don't even know who this guy is. She tries to make joke, and the girls are not having it, and they basically cut it off and be like, okay, girls, let's get away from this. And they leave, and then Andy, you know, having seen the girls' faces and how they were acting towards his sister, they walk away, and Sora, our Piper, is like, you know, the girls didn't like me, did they? And he, being the big brother, is telling her like, nah. You tell her what a big brother would tell her, like, no, like those girls were weird, or no, it seemed fine, like something else was going on. Doing whatever I need to do to make you feel normal. What I want to do now, because we've been talking for a little bit, is go into spoilers, because I feel like I can't even get into the meteor things without going into the spoilers. So this is your warning now. If you don't want to know what happens in this film, you should probably go find another video. You should probably stop watching or listening.
Oh, welcome to your new home. This is my daughter's room. I want to show you something else. This way.
We stuffed one.
I know I'm a weirdo.
How did you cope with Kathy being gone?
I didn't.
I think there's something wrong with Laura.
Oh my God, what is it?
We can bring her back.
What are you doing?
I'm supposed to report how safe and reliable you are. So stay safe, stay reliable, yeah?
Anyway. Okay, you're still here, so that means you want to talk about some things that actually occurred in the movie, and I do mean everything that occurred in the movie, or at least the things that I found interesting, the things that I found confusing. But anyway, so we have this story. We have this journey that involves a mother who lost their child due to a drowning in their pool, and she has somehow gotten hold of a tape. And I love this tape because this tape is not got any explanation as to who's involved in the video, what satanic thing they're into, what cult-like thing they practice. You just got a video with a bunch of randomly kind of naked people killing a woman, and then that somehow bringing back another woman. So Laura has somehow gotten a hold of this tape, and she's put everything about her life into recreating what she saw in that video. And the way she does this is by kidnapping a young boy named Oliver. Now, you don't know this at first. When you're first introduced to Oliver, she simply says that, hey, Andy and Piper, this is your brother. When I fostered him, I learned that he was a mute. So he doesn't talk much, and he already looks kind of weird. Like, he stares strangely at Piper, like not in a brotherly way or a love way, but like a lion staring at a gazelle. So she's put this thing inside of Oliver, and she knows that eventually she has to, one, separate Andy from Piper. Now, Andy wasn't supposed to go because this all opens up with them finding their father in the house dead. dead as hell, dead as a doorknob, no chance to save him. Not sure what killed him. You just find him in the shower, just kind of laid the hell out, and he's got like something coming out of his mouth. It looks like bile. I thought he was poisoned. It never explained what happened, but they find him dead, which is how they get placed into the foster care. Andy, almost 18, got 3 months until he's 18, would like to take care, ownership, parental rights of Piper. Can't do it until he turns 18. A foster mother, Laura, has made herself available and is exceedingly happy to take Piper into her custody, but she doesn't want Andy. Eventually, you also start to see that Laura is not completely there. She's a little unhinged in her approach. Now, some would call her just like an odd, maybe even a hipster-like parent in that, like I said, she makes Piper drink when they go to the funeral, and this is like your first real big moment of like, oh, no, something ain't right with Laura. Andy doesn't want to see their dad. For a lot of reasons. One, it's his dad that's hurt, but then you also kind of learn that he has a complicated relationship with his father. Piper, who is partially blind, can't see the father, so she wants to know what his dad looked like. Andy, not looking at the body, is like, he looks good, he looks fine, looks normal, looks like back to himself. And Piper, they have a word between her and Andy, grapefruit, that basically means that tell the truth no matter what. She says that, and Andy still doesn't look. He can't bring himself to look, so he's like, yeah, no, he looks good. Laura peeps all of this. Laura brings up the fact that Andy didn't look at the dad in front of Piper, so Piper can hear. She knows what she's doing. This is her laying the little seeds of distrust. Not only that, she then makes Andy go back in there and face looking at this body. This kid, who is 17, doesn't want to look at his dead dad, and she makes him go back in there and stare at his dead dad. Not only that, she then goes, kiss him on his forehead, because that's custom. I don't know who's effing custom. I'm sure there's some religion out there that maybe this is custom, but this is effing weird. The way the music is, the way it's shot, the way she says it, it's effing weird. So he finally breaks and he does it. Gives him a quick kiss on the forehead, stands back up. Oh, no, that's not enough for Laura, though. No, kiss him on the lips. What the what? Why? He's not doing it. He ends up bolting, and she just got a look of glee on her. She liked this-ish. Not completely right up here. And then she also bends down and kisses him on the lips for whatever damn reason, because she's got some different fascination with death. She also takes some of his hair, which is something we're going to talk about as well, because there's some things that I'm a little bit confused about what was going on there. Anyway, those moments kind of occur throughout the film, and the more it progresses, the more you see that Laura she's not right. Like I said, outside of that, they do go home, they drink. She's making Piper drink. She one of the weirdest scenes is Andy has been waking up in the morning with like piss in his pants, and you're thinking this boy's too old to be peeing in his pants still, or he's got something going on with him from the death that he's doing this thing. No, it turns out Laura is going in her own bathroom, hiking up her drawers, pissing in a cup, going over back into his room, and then pouring the piss onto his pants to make him think that he's pissing on himself. And then as the movie progresses, you learn that she has set up things to report back to the foster care system, like he's peeing on himself, he's got anger issues, and then the most, to me, violent of actions is when Piper's in bed sleeping, and then the camera kind of like zooms out to reveal that Laura is standing over Piper sleeping, caresses her face, moves her hair. She's obsessed with that girl's hair, and then just pop, hits her on the head, right in the face, right in the eye. Wakes up, Piper is screaming in pain. Andy doesn't wake up to comfort or anything like that. He doesn't even hear it. It even seems like he's kind of been drugged. Like there's some hints within that seems to suggest that maybe Laura has been drugging Andy to keep him asleep, because she also at one point comes in his room and like puts her fingers in his eyes, lifts them up to open up his phone and delete any evidence he has of taking pictures of Oliver, if Oliver even existed in this house. And it basically ends up in a moment of one-on-one Andy Piper. Who are you gonna believe? Are you gonna believe your brother? Are you gonna believe Laura? And because of the seeds of discontent Laura has sown throughout the film with like telling Piper, hey, your brother peeing his pants every day, I don't think he's okay. Piper chooses Laura over Andy. When Andy's like, let's get up out of this house, I've seen enough, we need to go, Piper chooses Laura. And I hated that moment. Because to me it doesn't make sense that this is the only moment that made me go, are you shitting me? In your entire life, however long you've been with Andy, right? He has been nothing but the individual that looks out for you, protects you. You know that. even getting to this house, he has done things to make you feel as comfortable as possible, even putting himself in a position to where he is uncomfortable as possible. You're telling me that when he says grapefruit for I think maybe the second or third time to you in this film, only once has he been caught in that live of saying grapefruit and not meaning what he said afterwards. You now telling me this woman tells you that your brother's the one that beat you in the head, is a psychotic one, and needs to be basically out of this house. You choose the woman you known for 2 days over your brother, the man who's protected you all your life. Forget him and what he's saying. I'm gonna choose the woman that I just met. To wrap that all up, man, we get to the kind of the unveiling of what's going on with Laura, and the unveiling is that Laura has kept her daughter's body in the damn freezer in this outhouse, and she plans on killing Piper the same way her daughter died, which is drowning her. And then afterwards, the ceremony is take Oliver, who turns out to be a little kidnapped boy that's not even like, I mean, like, I don't know how the cops haven't been like, yo, I don't know how she picked this random boy up, but she picked this random damn boy up, and she's just been keeping him in the house, but only, he's been locked up in the room, but sometimes she kind of lets him roam around and do whatever he wants. So again, it's a little weird that nobody's caught this little boy, or nobody came to check on this little boy. There's not that much security going on in keeping this little boy secluded from everybody, but for some reason, nobody's noticed it. Anyway, that little boy has a demon, or as she puts it, an angel inside of him, and what he has to do is essentially right after she kills Piper, take what he's eaten from the dead body of her daughter, so he's got to eat the body, and then take the sludge over to Piper and put it in her mouth, and that essentially is putting the soul over into Piper's body, and she'll have her daughter back in Piper's form. Andy, who's escaped this house and kind of realized that one, Oliver is this other kid. He's not who he's supposed to be. Or maybe the real kid's name is Oliver. I'm not sure. Either way, whatever Laura is saying that young boy is, he's recognizing that boy is somebody else that's been missing, because he sees a flyer and is like, oh my God, that's the kid. It was really easy to put it together. He just looked at the flyer and was like, oh, I know where that kid's at. It's with the damn foster mother you put me with. So he goes back to the social worker that puts him there and basically convinces her to go back to that house. All hell breaks loose because the boy, who is a demon, is hungry as hell. And this boy will eat anything. He will eat tables, he will eat dressers, he will eat your arm, he will eat his own arm. He's already attacked Laura. When they get to the house, she's done a kind of okay job at cleaning it up, but there's still evidence of the damage, or at least there should have been evidence of the damage. Anyway, they explore the house, end up finding the boy. Wendy, I'm skipping through some things here, but the point is Wendy ends up discovering, oh my God, I should have did my homework. Andy was right. This woman is effing crazy. As she leaves with Andy, as they're leaving, Laura has somehow gotten in her car and runs them over. And in that moment, again, we are in spoilers, so I understand if you don't want to know this part, you should leave. Ends up running over Wendy, killing her, but also somehow, and it doesn't look like she does, somehow ends up hitting Andy, and he ends up kind of laying in a puddle where like half his face is in it and the other half isn't. And then she just turns that boy's head around and drowns him. And it's in a moment where you're just like, oh, he'll come back later. He'll be the hero of the day. No, Andy is gone. Andy is dead. Andy is coming back. In fact, there's a scene where they don't harp on it. And this I do love about this film is that there are little moments where they kind of flash things, but they don't harp on them. You look at his hand and it looks like his fingers have been eaten on. So I think the little boy also walked by and had him some Andy snacks. Anyway, Piper ends up coming back into the house over, again, there's some things I'm skipping over here, but she comes back into the house and she basically figures out everything at this last moment, because at one point she hears her brother's voice calling her. Remember, she can't see, so she's following the voice. She goes into her room and she sticks out her hand to feel the face. And she's feeling like the ridges and the no to short hair of this thing. And Laura appears and she's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I hurt my brother. And then Laura's like, oh, no. Your brother's not here. It's just Oliver. And Piper, now her ears are starting to perk up. Wait a minute. Hold the hell up. I heard my brother. I know I heard my brother. Now you're telling me that he's not in here. So she asked, who was that then? And she was like, oh, that was Oliver. I felt his head. And when I first met you, y'all described to me what he looked like. They played a little game and the mother basically lied and said, hey, he has long, gorgeous, red, curly hair. Now she's walking with the mother and she's like, what does Aunt Oliver look like? And Laura repeats it again. Oh, he's got long, gorgeous, curly red hair. And now alarm bells going off, because I just felt whatever the hell that thing was, and that thing had no hair. I felt the buzz cut on that boy. So she knows Laura is lying, and she immediately beelines it away from Laura, ends up going to the bathroom. That's where we find her brother, realizes, oh boy, Andy's dead. I screwed up. I don't know why I chose a woman that I only known for 2 days over my brother that I've known for life, but I made a mistake. Fast forward to the ending where Laura has gotten her into the pool. She is actively drowning Piper's ass, and the thing that is in Oliver is now walking towards them and is preparing to hopefully impart her daughter into Piper's body. But to me, I thought he was about to go chomp down an old girl's face. And the thing that's kind of the saving grace is that, like I said, the story isn't a horror movie. It is an emotional journey with a woman who cannot deal or cope with unimaginable loss. So Piper, in the midst of being drowned, finds a moment to come free of the water and call her mother. Now, this scene is kind of already set up in that they have a quote-unquote touching moment in the little outhouse where Laura is adjusting Piper's hair and putting on her daughter's sweater onto Piper and telling her how beautiful she is and how much she reminds her of her daughter. And they just have this kind of touching moment. And Laura says, you can call me mother, you know, you don't have to call me, I forget what she calls her, Laura or Mrs. something, whatever. And Piper's like, maybe one day. Like, this is weird. I only know you for a day. I'm not about to call you mom. So now you fast forward to this scene where she's in the pool, she's drowning her, and then Piper comes up and calls her mother. And all of the memories of her daughter comes back. And it's like she finally snaps out of that loss and recognizes, I am so far off the reservation. I am so far off the beaten path that I'm willing to kill another little girl. I've already killed 2 people, somebody I've known for 20 years and then a young innocent boy. And I'm about to kill you so this thing that don't even look like a little boy anymore can come spit goo into your mouth. Hold up. No. And she lets her go and she apologizes and screams. And basically the movie ends with her cuddling her daughter's half-eaten body in the damn pool. Anyway, we've kind of talked about some of the things there. I think this story is it's one that deserves to be seen because it really, really, to me, is like a great example of why it is important to not turn your back on those who are there to help you move on, and the importance of moving on and recognizing that, like I said, I think there's only one thing that is inevitable in this world, and that is death. And it is something that we've all got to cope with in our own way and figure out. But the danger is in wallowing and allowing yourself to fall into the pit that comes from death, right? Into basically going, I can accept that death is a reality and what that could bring forth. You know, I was looking around at the talent. I think they're all from Australia, and the directors were talking about how they were afraid that the accents were going to be something that Americans just, not just Americans, but movie theater going audiences weren't going to find palpable because they're so accustomed to hearing American accents. I not once noticed anything about their accents. It just seemed like real people going through terrible things to me the entire time. And if anything, like the accents added like a sense of authenticity. Thank you all for watching this review with me. Hopefully you found something of use or entertaining or of value, and you can also share your thoughts about the movie You Know Where and tell me what the hell the purpose of the dad being hair snipped was. Some questions I got that I need answers, so please answer those questions for me. Anyway, that was it. That's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for watching. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next episode of Stand Own Business. We might have another one, like a Wednesday episode, on some comments I saw from Mr. Joe Flacco that I just feel like getting off my chest. It's not that important, but I might just get it out there anyway. So, until then, I was your show. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.